Hi there, this is Clint Steele. I'm from Get Your Stuff Made in China, and I'm going to take you through a basic strategy that anybody can follow if they're trying to find a Chinese supplier for their product. Now, the first thing you need to do when you're looking for a supplier is make sure you know what kind of a product you actually have. In my opinion, there are three different types of products. There are inventions, where you're looking at a completely new product, probably for a completely new market. In these situations, you need to find somebody who can make the product, assemble the product, and package the product. That means you will need to define the parts, you'll need to specify the materials, and you'll also need to identify the manufacturing processes that will need to be used. The second type of product is a deviation on an existing product. This, for example, could be something like a blender that has a new feature to it, or a new type of blender. It's an established product, but you've done something different with it. In these situations, you're better off finding an established manufacturer who can perhaps help with distribution as well. That means that they will know how to make your product, they'll have the expertise, you don't need to fully define everything, and they can actually put you in touch with people who can help sell your product in other parts of the world that you might not be familiar with. The third type of product is basically an existing product, where it's not an invention, it's not a deviation on an existing product, it's basically an existing product that's already there. So for example, you might just be interested in selling blenders. You don't really care whether they're new blenders or anything like that, you don't have a design of your own, you just want to sell blenders. In these situations, all you need to do is find an established manufacturer, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so now that we know what kind of a product we actually have and we know what kind of a supplier we're after, it's time to find the supplier. Now, the strategy that I'm going to introduce here has 4 steps to it. The first step is searching the internet. The second step is to contact the suppliers who first show the most amount of promise. And then you review through a third party those suppliers that actually seem to be the best. And then finally, assuming that the review went well, you actually visit the suppliers to finalize the agreement you have with them and to then start production. So step 1 is searching the internet. There are a number of places you can go to look for Chinese suppliers, but the places that we recommend are madeinchina.com, alibaba.com, globalsources.com, and tradekey.com. Now, like I said, these aren't the only websites on the internet that will help you with this, but we think they're pretty good and they're definitely a good starting point. Now, before you actually start searching through any of these sites, remember what kind of a product it is that you actually have. If it's a completely new invention, then you're probably going to need to search by manufacturing operation. So if you've realized that you need somebody who can do injection molding, then do a search on injection molding. On the other hand, if, as we were saying earlier through the example, you're making a blender, then you would obviously type in blenders or maybe kitchen equipment in your search. So if it's an invention, search by manufacturing operations. If it's an established product, then search by the name of that particular product. Now, these searches will present you with a number of results. What you want to do next is actually contact those suppliers who look best. Now, to find the suppliers who look best, or the ones that have the most potential, review their profiles and their web pages. Just look for the ones who appear most professional, maybe have the best looking profiles, the best web pages, the ones who communicate in their web pages that they have actually done the kind of work that you want them to do. Maybe they've dealt with foreigners, they've exported, they have the right kind of contacts, things like that. They're the good suppliers. What you will then do is you will contact these suppliers and see what their response is like. What you're looking for here is a response that is fairly quick. You're looking for a response that is also comprehensive when it answers your questions. It's those people who get back to you and tell you exactly what you need to know. Also, it's worth considering the questions that they ask of you. Do they simply say, yes, we can do it, or do they actually ask you a few questions to make sure that they really know what's going on? Now, it is good that they ask questions and try to understand your situation, but you should always keep in mind that you do want to protect your IP. Don't tell them too much. Don't assume that they're asking questions because they want to take your IP. They're actually trying to find out what's going on. But at this stage, you haven't found a business partner yet. You're just looking for a supplier. So even though you're looking for somebody who asks the right questions and can answer your questions and is very interested in what you do still have IP that you are trying to protect. So now that you've found those suppliers who appear to be the best, you really want to verify that they are actually as good as you think they are. And in this situation, there really is no substitute for a factory visit. The only problem is that a factory visit, depending upon your situation, could be quite difficult to arrange. There's the cost of flying over, there's the cost incurred by not doing what it is that you would normally be doing otherwise. There's just the inconvenience of organising it. So it can actually be quite difficult to arrange. One of the best solutions to this is using a third party. Now, there are a number of third parties that you can use, and we would certainly recommend that you find a third party, a proxy or an agent or an inspection company that is actually based in China. You can contact these people via the internet or telephone, and you can then tell them about your product. Once again, you might want them to sign an NDA. The advantage with a good proxy is that they don't actually manufacture, so they're a lot less interested in what your idea is from the perspective of knowing how to make it. They're really just interested in helping you. Now, they do charge typically by the hour or by the day, but the cost that you'll incur is fairly minor compared to the cost of your overall business operations. And they also have a lot of expertise in Chinese manufacturing and manufacturing in general. So you can tell them about your product, you can tell them about the factory that you want inspected, and they can go there with all their expertise and they can get back to you and say yes or no, this factory is suitable for the product that you want to make. And given the relatively small amount of money that you'll invest in this, the value in knowing that you have a good factory or a good supplier is really worth it. It's probably one of the best things you can actually do. You haven't had to invest a lot of money or time to come to China to evaluate them. Somebody who's expert in evaluating them has evaluated them, and you can then be sure that you've got somebody who is worth working with and who will be a good supplier into the future. Okay, so let's assume that step 3 has been a success. You've got a supplier now that looks promising. Everybody tells you that they're ideal. The next step is to actually visit them. Now, you might actually decide that the review you got from your agent or your proxy is sufficient, and that'll be the end of that, and you're now ready to move into production. However, you might still want to visit. And if you do choose to visit, it's a very good opportunity to make sure that everybody has the same understanding of what it is that you want made. And one of the best ways to do this is through a prototype or a sample. So if you do choose to visit the supplier, think seriously about taking a prototype or a sample with you. Also remember that at this stage you might still need to complete some negotiations. You may not have yet sorted out price, you may not have yet sorted out the quantity that will be ordered. If you are going to need to negotiate further, then you might want to re-engage the services of your proxy or your agent, and you might also want to review Chinese culture, in particular Chinese business culture. That's certainly another topic and we're not going to cover it here, but if you are going to come to China, it might be worth reviewing that just to understand how things might be different when you do actually arrive. Now, once you've completed your negotiations, that's essentially it. You've found your supplier and it's now time for production. So we wish you the best of luck with that. If you have any more questions or if you'd like to find out more information, then please visit us at www.getyourstuffmadeinchina.com. Good luck with it all.